Here we are for our fish special Shark Week. So many of you probably are maybe fearful of sharks, but it's interesting to find out that actually sharks do not kill humans like people think. They will not hunt out humans. People do get bitten by sharks. It's not that they don't, but they're not something to fear. They're just something to be aware of and cautious of. So as we get into our sharks, Alexis, could you please share what are our three main fish facts?
All fish have gills, all fish have fins, and all fish are cold-blooded.
So those are our three main fish facts. And today we're talking about sharks.
Speaking of sharks.
Oh, that's right, yeah. This is actually a shark tooth necklace that I got while we were down in Florida. That's a giant shark tooth, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, they've got giant teeth.
Mm-hmm. And we'd love to know who's watching with us today. If you'd like to share your name and your age and your favorite fish, we'd love to hear that. Now, I'm actually going to flip the camera over because our shark book has so many really great facts in it that we just wanted to share. It'd be easier if I flipped it around so you could actually see the facts with the pictures, because there's a lot of cool pictures with the facts, all right? So we're going to flip over. So if you want to gather on, this is our, on page 99 is what shares the fish facts in your, My Animal Notebook. That's what it's called. My Animal Notebook. So we're actually going to go all the way back.
Whoa.
To page number.
There's
fish. Oh, there's our
manta ray.
Yep. So we're actually the fish report. So my fish report, we're actually going to skip this page, which is page number 21, because you're going to pick your own fish for that one. So we're actually going to be on page 23. At the very top, you're going to write sharks. And sharks are spelled S-H-A-R-K-S. Sharks.
How come it's not going backwards? Isn't it supposed to be backwards?
Well, that's why I flipped the camera around. If the camera's flipped towards us, it would be backwards. But that's why I flipped it this way, because there's so many cool facts in this book. It would be easier to read it this way. So this book, Sharks, is written by Megan Cooley Peterson, and it has a lot of cool photographs and some just cool little diagrams and stuff. So what are sharks? Sharks are fascinating fish. Most sharks are cold-blooded. Their body temperature matches the surrounding water. But there are some sharks actually that are warm-blooded. Sharks are carnivores, which means what?
They eat meat like us.
Yep, they eat other animals. Some sharks also feed on dead animals. So that's a good fact to write. Our goal was to try to get 10 facts about sharks. And that'd be a great fact to write, was that sharks are carnivores. And that's how you spell it if you're looking to spell it. Sharks are carnivores. Most sharks spend much of their time alone. But some sharks will swim in a group called schools. And we learned that in the last couple weeks about when we talked about fish, and their groups are called schools. And there's the gills on the shark. So sharks actually take water into their mouths to breathe, and it passes over the gills, and the gills will actually gather the oxygen from the water. So a lot of similar facts that we've learned actually from even learning about the rays in previous weeks. So sharks live in every ocean on Earth. That's another good fact to write down, is that they live in every ocean. The sharks do. There are more than 400 kinds of sharks that swim along the coast and in deeper water. So here's where the great hammerhead sharks live. As you can see, they're along a lot of the coastline there. So most sharks will actually live in warm water near the equator. So that's like their favorite spot, is in the warmer water. So here you can see where the whale sharks live. All along the equator. And they don't just prefer the shoreline. They prefer, the whole warm ocean area. There's our whale shark that we learned about with his wide, giant mouth. And here's where tiger sharks live. As you can see, they are mostly along the coastline, but they do have some groups out in the Pacific Ocean that they really live in.
I remember there was this one shark that actually did not eat people.
The whale shark, right?
Oh yeah, that.
Yep. It's a very, and that's this one here. Yeah, it doesn't have the mouth or the teeth to eat humans. And there's a tiger shark there. And here's a bull shark. Sometimes they swim into freshwater rivers to find food. So we think of them always being in salt water, but they have found sharks in freshwater too. Here's their teeth and jaws. Look at that. Chomp. Sharks have sharp teeth and strong jaws. They use them to catch prey. That's another good fact to write down, is that sharks have the sharp teeth and strong jaws. And you don't have to write the full sentence. You could actually just write sharp teeth, strong jaws. Because as you're gathering your facts in your notebook, you don't have to write full sentences. When sharks attack, their jaws pull away from the skull. A shark is able to open its mouth very wide to bite prey. Oh, and here's a tiger shark. So the tiger shark's long, pointed teeth catch those slippery fish. And look at those teeth. Whoa, that's scary, isn't it? Horned sharks crush the shells of the shellfish with their flat back teeth. So look at those interesting. That doesn't really look like what you'd think of shark teeth, does it?
No.
But they do have all those different layers. See all the different layers of teeth? That's what, like other
It's
sharks.
like a pig shark.
Those kind of look like a pig shark. When a shark's tooth wears out, a new tooth moves in to replace it. Some sharks will go through as many as 30,000 teeth in their lifetime. That's a lot. What do you think about that? And that's why we find so many, when we do go to the ocean, we see so many shark's teeth that we can find. Here's the speedy swimmers. Swoosh. Sharks move their heads from side to side when they swim. That's another interesting fact, right? That they move their heads from side to side. Sharks can't swim backwards. Another interesting fact.
So if you went behind them, they couldn't bite you.
That's a good thought. If you were hanging right onto the back of their tail, they might not be able to get you, would they? So make sure we're writing facts, because we want to try to gather 10 facts from this shark book. Let's see here. Oh, the pectoral fins, and look at all these different fins here. So the dorsal and the pelvic fins keep the shark upright. The pectoral fins lift the shark through the water as it swims, and the caudal fin, or the tail fin, pushes the shark through the water. So it's interesting how it has all these different fins, but they each have their own special reason on why God gave sharks all these different fins. The short fin mako is the fastest shark. It darts through the water at 40 miles per hour or more. Look at that fast little shark, huh?
Yep, you could not outswim a shark.
Yeah. So we learned a little bit about this with the rays last week, about the cartilaginous fish. But the shark skeleton is made of cartilage instead of bone. So that flexible cartilage makes swimming easier. Your nose and ears are also made of cartilage. So we kind of learned about that last week, didn't we? Where we played around with our nose and saw that that it was a lot softer, and that's why they can move so much. Skin and scales. This I thought was a really interesting fact. This was something that I actually learned recently about the sharks. I didn't realize their skin was like this. Tiny scales called denticles cover the shark's skin. Denticles look like small teeth. Here's like a close-up of them. They make a shark's skin feel like sandpaper. Isn't that interesting? I guess I always thought of a shark as being very smooth. Like, to me, their skin looks like it's smooth. I didn't realize it had all these little scales called denticles. So that's a great fact to write down too, is that a shark has scales called denticles. And that's how you can spell it too. I'll leave it up there so if anyone wants to write the word denticle. So that's a really cool fact. Most sharks have darker skin on the top and lighter skin on the bottom. So when they're viewed from above, their dark skin blends in with the ocean floor, and this coloring helps most sharks sneak up on their prey. So God was smart about that, wasn't he, with all their camouflage? Well, here's the word denticles again. Denticles come in many shapes and sizes. They act like armor to protect the sharks. The water flows smoothly over these denticles, which help the sharks swim fast. So that's a really cool fact. That's something I actually learned just today when I was looking over the books. Oh, the shark's senses. So what do you think about the senses? Before we read about it, What's your guess? What do you think is the shark's best sense?
Probably.
I wonder if anybody else has any thoughts at home on what they think the shark's best sense is.
Probably smell.
Yep, that I would probably
Because
guess smell
I was
too.
about to say taste, but I think by that they eat tires and anything that's floating in the water. So yeah, they probably don't have that good of taste.
Yeah, so I think it might be sense or the taste too. So or not the taste, the smelling. So here's their hearing. They have tiny holes in the top of the shark's head, lead it to its ears, and most sharks can hear sounds many miles away. So it sounds like they have very good hearing. Sight. A shark's eyes sit on either side of its head. Sharks can see in almost every direction at one time. So it sounds like they've got pretty good sight too. Touch. A special organ runs under a shark's skin from its tail to its head. This organ can feel movements made by swimming prey. The taste. Sharks bite prey to find out if it tastes like something they want to eat. Smell. Great white sharks can smell small amounts of blood up to 3 miles away. So I'd say probably somewhere between the ears or their smell. Those seem like those are the two best senses on the shark. So that might be something to write down, is that they can, if you want to write down some of the facts about their senses, we had the hearing where they can hear many miles away. They can see in almost every direction. They can smell up to 3 miles away, or blood at least, small amounts of blood. So those are all some interesting facts we can write down in our notebook. Sharks and electricity. All living things give off small amounts of electricity. Look, there's some pore. That's pointing to the pores, and you can, if you look very closely, look, you can see those holes. And you can see in our skin too that we have holes called pores in our skin. Sharks have tiny pores in their snouts that can feel electricity. That's another interesting fact, really. They have pores in their snouts that can feel electricity. Sharks can feel electricity from prey up to 1 foot away. Hammerhead sharks move their heads over the seabed to find buried stingrays. Look at that cool hammerhead shark. Very cool. See that one? I know sometimes it's hard to be able to keep up with writing notes and see the pictures, isn't it? From pup to adults. So that's what the babies are called. Remember that? Shark pup. Almost half of all types of sharks actually lay eggs, and the rest will give birth to live young. So here's 2 different examples. There's the egg, and there's the little shark pup coming out of its egg.
In fact, I think I've actually touched a shark baby before. It is not soft.
Yeah, that's right. You did, didn't you, at the aquarium? I remember that. Yeah, so yeah, they're unexpectedly not soft like a fish would be. So all shark pups live and grow on their own. So none of them depend on their mother. Now, it looks like there's a pretty good difference of different kinds of sharks and how many pups. As we remember, the whale shark has only about 1 or 2 pups. The bull sharks have 7 to 12. The lemon sharks have 6 to 18. And the piked dogfish has 2 to 16 pups. That's quite the range from either having just 2 or having 16. But that's maybe another interesting fact to write down, is that all shark pups live on their own. There are no sharks that need to be with their mama for any part of time. Here's a zebra shark pup. They're born with their striped skin. The stripes help them hide in seaweed as they grow. Many female sharks lay eggs in tough cases. These cases keep the young safe before they hatch. Look how hard that looks. Doesn't that look like that, like hard like metal?
Mm-hmm.
Some shark eggs cases have cords on the end, and these cords attach the egg cases to rocks or seaweed to keep them hidden. So there's a lot of ways that these egg cases are protected. The hunters. Sharks are born to hunt. Some sharks will chase their prey. Others blend in with their surroundings and wait for food to come. Most sharks can't chew. That's an interesting fact. They only swallow their food whole or in chunks. So that'd be something good to write down, that they can't chew. They only swallow their food whole. And it's interesting, they have so many teeth, but they don't use those teeth to chew, do they? They just bite. The great white shark leaps up to attack seals swimming on the surface. Just takes one bite and swallows it whole. Tiny bits of skin that look like seaweed hang from the wobbegong shark's snouts. Sometimes prey nibble on the shark's skin, and then the sharks gobble them up. The long-nosed sharks have sharp barbels on their snouts. They run the barbels along the seabed to find small hidden in the sand. Tiger sharks are nicknamed the trash cans of the sea. They will try to eat almost anything. Scientists have found clothing, license plates, and paint cans in their stomachs. That's pretty crazy, huh? Filter feeders. Not all sharks hunt for food. Basking sharks, whale sharks, and megamouth sharks are filter feeders. They mostly eat tiny sea plants and animals called plankton. And there's the picture of that too. There's the plankton. Some plankton are too tiny to see with the naked eye. They look very colorful under the microscope though. Don't they kind of look pretty? It almost looks like a design on a fabric. So the filter feeders swim with their huge mouth open to catch the plankton. Look at that huge mouth. That is big. Water flows through the gill rakers inside the shark's mouth. The gill rakers strain plankton from the water for the shark to eat. And very much like the whale shark, we learned about the whale shark that is also a filter feeder. Oh, and here's some good sizes here. This is a good showing of the different sizes. So I'll try to back up a little bit. Sharks big and small. The whale sharks can grow as big as school buses. We learned about them because they're the world's largest fish. And look at the little human there, the 6-foot human. And then down here we have a bull shark that can grow to 11.5 feet. The great white shark is rather large. He's about 24 feet. Tiger shark is 25 feet. The nurse shark is 8.25 feet. And the great hammerhead shark can be 19.5 feet. The mako shark is 11.4 feet. Some sharks are so small you could actually hold them in your hands. Like the dwarf lantern shark is one of the world's smallest sharks at 6 to 7 inches. Look how little it is compared to all these sharks. So sharks aren't necessarily big. They're not necessarily ferocious. And they don't even necessarily eat large prey. Some of them are filter feeders. Sharks on the move. How do sharks find their way around the world's ocean? Scientists believe they follow the Earth's magnetic field. Many sharks migrate to mate, give birth, and find food. Here we have a great white shark in 2003 traveled more than 12,000 miles in 99 days. They're not exactly sure why it did that. The female great hammerheads move into cooler water in the summer to give birth. Not all sharks migrate. The nurse shark never swims far from its home area. Isn't that interesting? So sharks, there's a huge range, isn't there, of different ways that they move and eat and live. So here's what we were talking about earlier about fearing sharks. So some people do fear sharks, but they're actually really helpful ocean creatures. They clean the ocean by eating the old, sick, and dead animals. Sharks don't often attack humans. In fact, you're more likely to be bitten by another human than you are a shark. Isn't that funny? So here, a lot of people are so afraid of sharks, but yeah, it says right there, you're more likely to be bit by a human. Sharks are an important part of the ocean's ecosystem. And why do you think that is? Why do you think they are so important for the ocean? Why do you think sharks are important? You know? Think about like they filter out the plankton and stuff like that, and they eat other fish. Oh, and Little Rancher's here. Can you say hi to Little Rancher?
Hi, Little Rancher.
Yeah, we're learning about sharks here. We're just about getting ready to draw our sharks. So we learned all about the different sharks. And I'm wondering maybe if Little Rancher has a favorite shark that he'd like to hear about. I have a book here if he wants us to look up a specific kind of shark. We have just a few facts here I wanted to share, and then we're going to draw our shark diagram. So here we go. Because, honey, you need to write some facts down. We're writing facts about the sharks. So the gills, the fish breathe through their gills. And remember how we learned about how the water actually goes in through their mouth and then it goes over the gills. And then over those gills is how it retains its oxygen here. Here's another great picture of the egg case that we talked about, how the sharks actually have a very hard egg case to protect it, because does the mama stay with her shark babies?
No.
No, the mama just lays the egg and leaves her little shark babies. So there's their bendy bodies. We talked about their cartilage and how they can move around. Oh, he likes the tiger shark. All right, so you know what we're going to do? We've got our shark book here. We had a little bit of the tiger shark. Oh, looks like I almost opened up right to the tiger shark. I didn't even mean to. So let's see if we can get a few extra facts about the tiger shark. So here we have a tiger shark here. Look how cool. I love the patterns on their skin. They're very cool looking. Oh, and the great white, that's another good one too. Very cool. So it shows us here that actually the tiger shark is another one too, that look where it lives right along the equator. A lot of the sharks we've noticed liked warm water. And then the great white shark, actually we had a book here about the great white shark versus the killer whale. So as we learned, the killer whale is actually a mammal and the great white shark is a fish, but it just kind of had some comparisons with the two.
Why is its mouth so bloody?
Well, I mean, they both do eat. They both do eat other animals. That's part of it. Oh, that's the killer whale profile. Whoops. Let's go to this page here. So the secret weapons. Look at that. The great white shark have an incredible sense of smell. They can smell a single drop of blood in 10 billion drops of water. And they also have very good eyesight. So we learned that too in the other book about that all sharks, their keenest senses are their smell and their eyesight. Oh, their hearing. Remember, they could hear from a far away too. So the great white sharks have a hidden sense. A lateral line runs along the side of the shark's bodies. These lines can sense vibrations in the water. Isn't that interesting? So that's something we didn't learn in our other book. That might be a good fact to write down. Is that they have a lateral line that can sense movement. The great white shark has sharp serrated teeth, so they can cut and rip apart their meat. Sharks' teeth fall out often. And remember, we actually in the other book it mentioned how they can go through 30,000 teeth in their lifetime. That's a lot. Here's the scaredy shark. Great white sharks are actually known to be afraid of killer whales. An orca's scent is often enough to drive the great whites away from the area for months. So here we learn that actually you would think of the great white shark as being more of the killer, and really sounds like the killer whale actually scares the shark, doesn't it? So now we're going to grab our papers to get ready to draw. A lot of times I actually will have my paper long ways, like vertical, but today I actually want to turn it so it's horizontal, because I feel like it's going to be easier to draw the great white shark if we're vertical or horizontal. So I'm going to turn my paper horizontal. So if you want to, you can, or you can turn it the other way, whichever you'd rather. And I'm going to use this. There's actually a drawing in this book that I'm going to use as my guide for a shark. So here we can see it's got the parts of the shark. So we're just going to kind of draw the shark and just label all these different parts for our diagram here. So as you can see, it's kind of long and slender, is it? So I'm going to kind of draw the long body part, and then I'm going to add on the fins. So I'm just going to try to draw its long body here and its tail. Then we're going to loop back around through here. And it kind of has like a very pointed kind of snout, doesn't it? So I'm going to start with its little eye up, or its eye up here. And its snout, and it will get its little nostril there. And it needs its mouth. We're going to have a closed mouth shark. If you want to, like Alexis drew her shark with a wide mouth open, you can draw that wide mouth. And in fact, I might do that too. I kind of like the idea of making
Otherwise, it looks like a giant fish.
Yeah, this one I was kind of more mimicking that one, but I kind of like the idea of making the mouth open wide a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to open up this mouth here. Oops, it looks like my pencil's kind of a weird one.
Oh yeah, that one was taped because it lost its lead.
Oh yeah, that's okay. So, and then I can actually leave this little line here because they do kind of separate it with the white at the bottom and the gray on top. And of course we want to draw all those layers of teeth. So we're going to draw tons of teeth for our shark. Tons and tons of teeth. All right, so then it has its first dorsal fin here, which is that's the one that you see sticking up out of the water. Yep, so there's that first dorsal fin. So we're going to label that first dorsal fin. So we're going to point down to it. So I can write with this crazy pencil. So first dorsal fin. I'm going to spell it first. Thank you, Alexis. First dorsal fin, D-O-R-S-A-L, and then fin is F-I-N. So that big one there is called the first dorsal fin. And then actually has a second fin down here, a little bit smaller, called the second dorsal fin. So we're going to label this one. Second is S-E-C-O-N-D. Second, and then dorsal, D-O-R-S-A-L, fin, F-I-N. There's the second dorsal fin. And then here we have the caudal fin, which is also called the tail fin, but we'll go ahead and write caudal. So caudal is C-A-U-D-E-L, caudal, and then fin, F-I-N, fin. All right, and then we have another fin. So right underneath this dorsal fin on the underside, there's another fin down here, kind of an interesting shape, and this is called the anal fin, which is A-N-A-L, and then F-I-N. Then we have pelvic fin too, which is so here we've got the first dorsal and the second dorsal. The pelvic fin's kind of in between the two of them on the underbelly. And it's a smaller one too. So that one's called the pelvic fin. P-E-L-V-I-C-F-I-N, pelvic fin. And then in the front, so these are the ones that they use to swim and get going. These are their pectoral fins. So these are a little bit on the larger side too. And I'm going to erase this. So can you hold my paper, please? There we go. I'm going to erase that. And then this is the pectoral fin. So that's P-E-C-T-O-R-A-L. Pectoral fin. And if you want, you can label mouth, teeth, eyes, and snout and everything. But I think we're going to keep it. I'm just going to focus on the fins there. And then I'm going to label my diagram shark. Because this is kind of generic shark. You can do specific sharks if you like, but we kind of just want to show this is what all sharks have, and they will have different colorings and different sizes. But that's our basic shark. Let's see. Oh, good. Great little shark, Alexis. Very nice. So I'll flip us around. There. Well, thank you for joining us, learning all about sharks. What do you think? What was your favorite shark fact?
That they don't want to eat humans.
Yeah, she liked that because she was a little bit nervous to learn about the sharks.
Because we're going to, we may be going to Florida and going snorkeling in the coral reef. I don't think I'm going to be doing that, but...
Yep, and she was nervous about that. But now you see that sharks are really not out there to eat humans, are they? No, so they're safe. They're good. And I thought it was really cool. I didn't realize, I always pictured a shark's skin as being like smooth like a fish. And it was really interesting to find out about those, what were they called? It starts with a D. She wrote it down in her facts.
Debkin.
Did you write it down? Now I can't remember. Now I'll have to tell you what it was. Dictorals or something like that. But
dictorals. That was it.
Where they actually have little scales that are like sandpaper on their back. So it's kind of interesting. And so they're like almost like shark's teeth on their back. And like, so if you were to actually touch it, it would feel scratchy and pokey. That was really interesting, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us for learning all about sharks. And join us next week. We have just a few more weeks of learning about fish. And then we'll be all done with the fish around the world. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Early Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, tomorrow, right? Bye.
Bye.